Joining us for this section, our friend Michael Graham, managing editor, Inside Sources, political commentator, knows his way around Washington more than any other person on planet Earth. Michael,
wow.
Good afternoon to you.
Oh, it's morning here, or I just missed my nap time or something. I'm still recovering. It was a long, long night. I got a little cat nap in, and it's funny, people all the way leading up to the election, I kept reminding them, this is a 50-50 race. We don't know what's going to happen. And people are like, oh, I know for a fact that Trump's going to win, or oh, I know for a fact that you don't know. And last night was a big kick in the keister that I think a lot of people, particularly in kind of the arrogant elitist mode, really needed, which is you don't know.
Yeah.
And the voters are going to have their say. And you can say all you want. How dare you vote for Trump, you Hispanic man? Don't you know he thinks you're a pile of garbage? And this Hispanic man's going to go, that crazy guy says 10 crazy things.
Yeah.
I was making a lot more money at the end of the week when he was president. Let's go back to that. And there was the election. And the idea that Donald Trump, of all people, would be the guy who broke the number wall that George W. Bush had. George W. Bush was always the best performing Republican with Hispanics who ran for president ever. And now Donald Trump just blew past that. I think it's a reminder that the cultural stuff and the economic stuff are all bound up together. You can't just kind of slice it out and say, I am the economic robot and I'm only going to vote on your tax rate. And no, I care about trans kid issues and my daughter. It's a mix of that stuff. And for people who tend to be religiously faithful, a lot of Catholics in the in the Latino community, and for people who tend to work in working class families, they tend to have working class values. And so you take the working class economics, the working class values, and next thing you know, Donald Trump has done something no one's done since Grover Cleveland. And he's become the first non-consecutive, the second non-consecutive president of the United States.
I remember you covering that election as well back then, Michael. And that
no, I was not ready. I was still in elementary school.
Indeed. Listen, just an idea to give us an idea of how kind of mad it is. One of the Democrat guys I was talking to last night, whose name now escapes me, but very experienced. He'd worked for all of the former Democratic presidents at some point, and advisor, and one of those guys that sits on a gazillion committees. He'd done the whole thing, this fella.
Right.
But he actually said to me, he really did say this, Michael. He said, how did Trump do this? How did he? I have no idea how he did it. He was walking around the place calling people garbage. You can't call people garbage. And I said, whoa, hang on a sec. No, that was the other guy. That was your guy that used the garbage word.
Right.
He picked up on that and drove a garbage truck. I mean, he was that kind of deranged by what had happened. He couldn't even get his chronology or his facts straight, this guy. But that people were losing their mind, and I said exactly as you've just said, Michael. It's actually rather simple to explain this. It's not hard to explain why Trump is going to be the 47th president of the United States.
The election always was Trump and abortion versus the economy and what I would kind of call like backlash or something. I mean, I don't know how bad it is in the UK. You guys, what I've read, you guys are actually ahead of us on the trans issue, realizing that it's gone too far, that you've got healthy kids that are being hurt by it and stuff like that. And there's a whole other things that go with the trans issue. And so it's, backlash. Stop pushing me. Stop making me go through DEI to get hired. So that Trump and abortion, economics, and kind of crazy, liberalism.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people, and they're very legit theory that said, look, women are so mad about the abortion issue, and people just hate Trump so much that that's going to be enough. And Trump can even run a great campaign. It's just there's not enough votes who are not attached to that. The other side was, look, I get that that's a thing. I'm just telling you, this last 4 years on the economy and on the crazy has even trumped that. In other words, you set the bar high.
Yeah.
And yet because Trump is easy to vote against. But, man, you guys went even higher, and that's what did it. And so that's what we saw the resolution of. And I'm really fascinated on these U.S. Senate races. Three-term incumbents in the U.S. are hard to beat. You already have one go down, Sherrod Brown in Ohio. It looks like Bob Casey, who, by the way, is the son of a wildly popular governor. So it's a scion, family. They've had people in power there since the 60s. They're going to be out, it looks like, in Wisconsin, the same thing. That's another sign that this wasn't just, I'm going to vote for that Trump guy to send a message, I'm angry. This is, we need to change direction. I'm going to give power to the president and to the senator. I'm going to throw out people I've known my whole life and just say, look, I even like you. I just don't want what you guys are doing anymore. And I think that's profound.
Indeed. Well, listen, I mean, if you wanted evidence, really, Michael, of how mad a night it was, before Donald Trump conceded, before Donald Trump acknowledged his legitimacy as the next president, something really strange happened. You'll be aware of this, of course, because you were watching. But Kamala Harris's campaign co-director, a fella called Cedric Richmond, me neither, spoke on behalf of the former, well, she's still the vice president, last night, explaining that she would address the nation today and, you know, you might as well all go home. Let's have a listen to what she said.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted, that every voice has spoken. So you won't hear from the vice president tonight, but you will hear from her tomorrow. She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation.
I mean, that's grim, Michael, isn't it? I mean, you can actually hear the crowd weren't mic'd up, but you can hear the rumble of, like, she's not going to address the watch party? Really? And this was when you could conceivably have argued, you know, well, she could have still done it at that stage. Her guy was out there telling everybody to go home.
So a couple of things. There's been a lot of 2016 vibe conversation in the U.S. that this felt a lot like 2016 over again, that it wasn't going to be 2020 where Trump, you know, lost pretty handily. And sure enough, what did Hillary Clinton refuse to speak that night? She disappeared. They had to wait. She left everybody hanging for the next day. There's Kamala Harris doing it. You had states like New Hampshire and Virginia, where Trump was weirdly close. You know, states are not supposed to be on the ballot, just like with Hillary Clinton. And what do the two have in common? They're both not really easy to like. They're both not, nothing. I obviously don't know these people, but, like, you know, there's a reason why on June 27th, when Biden and Trump had that big debate, the consensus on Kamala Harris was, whatever you do, don't make her the nominee. She's awful. She's not very bright. She burns through staff. She's hard to work with. Well, that's the same. Nothing changed. And the same reputation with Hillary Clinton. The second thing I would say is on the 2016 vibe is that there was a sense that people were just ignoring almost all the incoming fire. It was like, I've decided who I'm going to vote for. Whether I tell a pollster or not, doesn't matter. I've decided what I'm going to do, and they barreled through. And then the best part was the media reaction. You were so right. You guys sitting around last night on the wrong side of the pond were saying, hey, he won already. NBC, CBS, ABC, we're not calling it. We're not calling it. And I'm sitting with the crew people I'm watching with going, this was over. I predicted it'd be over by midnight-ish. And it was, in the sense that you knew what was going to happen, even though the states hadn't been called. The New York Times didn't call it until, like, literally less than 3 hours ago. They finally called this election. Are you guys crazy? And it's a reminder that the press has its own agenda. The press is now its own constituency. And for many, many Americans, the press is like the evil government bureaucracy. You know, you're mad that you're scared they're going to come to your house. They're like the tax collector. They've got their own agenda. They're like a political party. They want to, you know, get you to vote. The press is no longer any at all the referee on the field. The press is now fully wearing a uniform and is on one side. And that is not good for a democratic republic. That's not a good way to run a country.
Yeah, we're hearing that Anderson Cooper was taken to hospital after a number crunching machine fell on his head. So he's still trying to work it out. I think I can make this work. These numbers are incorrect. Well, while Kamala's man...
I have a rule. I'm a not very smart guy. I'm a normal smart guy. And if someone's doing something that's so dumb I wouldn't do it, I know it's dumb. And I'm thinking to myself, so what is your number one problem? You're the media, and you're in America, in the Gallup poll, less trustworthy in the eyes of the Americans than Congress. They have fallen below Congress. So what is the one thing you don't want to do? Go on TV and look in the camera and say, I can't tell who's winning. I have no idea. Trust me. You think you see who's winning. You don't. Everyone's going, dude, we're watching. He won. Get over it. Why do you keep doing this?
Indeed, and they will continue to keep doing that. Well, while Cedric was delivering the bad news to Team Harris, down there in Palm Beach in Florida, it was a very different vibe, of course. Let's hear from the president-elect on how he will save the country.
Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission. The task before us will not be easy, but I will bring every ounce of energy, spirit, and fight that I have in my soul to the job that you've entrusted to me. This is a great job. There's no job like this. This is the most important job in the world. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite.
It's time to unite, Michael. Just a word on that speech there. I mean, he said all the things you would expect him to say in a Trump fashion, reiterating those important parts, how demanding the job is. But he also, within that, you could argue there was I wouldn't call it an olive branch. It's not really a word you would use in the same sentence as Donald Trump. But he was, he was saying, I'll be president for everybody, basically.
So Donald Trump knows showbiz. And I really hope that we're going to get a new season, almost like a spinoff. Look, we've done the Donald Trump, the loudmouth talk radio guy, tell me what for. I'm going to tell you. I'd like to see Donald Trump play the president. One of the things he has that's going for him is no one has any expectation of policy because you don't know what the hell you're going to get. When you elected Barack Obama, you know we're going to get center-left policies. Yeah. George W. Bush, center-right policies. Trump doesn't have ideology. He's open. Like he could sit down and cut a deal with the liberals in Congress that if he thought it was a good idea, whatever, he can do that. I want to see. We had the apprentice, we had the candidate, we had the fighter backer guy. He's been the last 4 years. I want to see now the president. I'm going to show you, do a TV version of president. And I think if he did that, he could really surprise people. He could also help the country by helping bring the temperature down. And the other thing it would do, as they proved again last night, the people who hate him would get uglier and crazier the more sane he got. Yeah. The more people around him are going, well, actually, I think that's a pretty good idea. I think I am going to sit down and negotiate with him. I'm not going to treat him like he's Satan. We're not going to try to throw him back in jail, whatever. We're actually going to let him be president and do our job. We'll be Congress and we'll pass things and some will be good, some will be bad. The more it's like jujitsu. You embrace the normal and use the normal against them, Don. Do it. You can do it. And it would be good for America, too. But I don't know. I suspect it's going to be another season of the Trump show.
Well, whatever it is, it's never going to be dull or boring. Listen, Michael, stay with us. Michael Graham, managing editor at Inside Sources, our political commentator over there in Washington.